back in the 6th.
So would you say then maybe Jan Gregus, is he going to be more of like like a box-to-box type midfielder?
A little bit.
Okay.
I mean, I look at him, I always use Chelsea as an example, but I look at him as Cesc Fabregas. He's kind of the wheelhouse of the whole attack.
Sure, he turns it.
Yeah, so he's kind of a box-to-box, but he's going to be a little bit more defensive, but he picks out the passes. Now, I mean, I'm not going to compare anyone really to Cesc Fabregas because the dude's was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So, but it's that type of thing.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And of course, we got to bring up his nickname, the Honey Badger.
The Honey Badger.
Yes, the Honey Badger.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I think we've already, I shouldn't say we, the United, I think, have already asked permission to use that nickname.
Right. Yeah, and they tweeted out one tweet that was a jar of honey and a badger.
Yep.
And everybody knew, well, okay.
Honey Badger.
Alonso's being signed.
On the flip side, the fans of the Sounders are not happy with this move at all. There are a lot of fans who are very upset they're getting rid of him because they said he was a leader type of guy.
Yeah.
He was a big leader of the team, and he was kind of the heart and soul and been there for a while. So it'll be interesting to see if he can bring that leadership mentality to the United and kind of get him kind of worked up. Because Darwin's not a leader. Quintero's not a leader.
Nope.
He's a star. He doesn't lead. I think this guy, Ozzy can be the leader they've been looking for.
Right, and we look back at our past captains have almost always been Calvo. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And Calvo has the passion for a captain, but I'm not sure if that leadership is there. So I think, if Alonso can bring that in, and you have to think that the back line at the least is going to be ecstatic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the midfield is going to be like, my God, we don't have to worry about defense anymore.
Nope.
So I think he's gonna work well. I mean, even if he's only here for the 2 years, great.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the only thing you have to really, off the top of your head, worry about would be the age, 33. Yeah. So I mean, but if they can get more out of him, awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And it's enough to keep Cronin sitting back on that disabled list, hoping, because then you've got that cover. We still really need to get out there and find a number 6 that's like 22.
But the problem with Cronin, I think his injury was his was more of was it a brain injury? Is he concussion?
Yeah, it's a brain. Yeah,
and we've seen that in other sports. We saw that. I mean, going back to Minnesota sports, Joe Mauer, Corey Koski, Justin Morneau, all three of those guys had concussions and never played the same again.
Right.
And so when you have a brain injury, especially in a sport where there's a lot of movement and stuff, I don't know if he's going to come back to what he was before.
Well, and he may never come back.
Yeah, and then you said, I mean, speaking of, like, injury was a concern for you as well as the age, but I mean, I'm just looking at, last year's, I mean, I'm looking at his entire career with Seattle, and he's like last year, he started 21 games, played in 25, and you look down, kind of going down the list, it's kind of got that feel. He's always in the 25 to 32 games played range. And he's getting, a minimum. It looks like last year was his lowest his lowest since like 2010 with 1,800 minutes, rough 1,833. So
and I think the big thing to keep in mind is he's now going to be playing on grass.
Yeah,
and obviously the evidence as far as how artificial turf impacts health is kind of mixed.
Yeah.
But there's that chance that maybe we're talking about an opportunity where he's going to be able to spend the vast majority of the season on grass.
Yep.
And that's going to help him.
Yeah, it's always a big thing with when guys get older like that, especially in soccer, playing on grass, not artificial turf, because it helps your knees hold up. And there's another thing, too, that can help is if he manages his minutes and the days that he starts.
Oh, sure.
Not starting him if we have a short week, maybe not starting him that second game, letting him rest, putting him in at the end if they need to, but letting him rest as a 33-year-old. Managing guys like that could make him a better player this year.
Exactly. And we've had Rasmus Schuler, who's essentially been forced to play a 6 role for the last year and a half.
Yep.
And so you've got this guy in your depth chart who can, slide in. So we're playing Orlando. No offense to Orlando, but they kind of suck.
They do.
San Jose, no offense to them, they kind of suck, even though they've beaten us every time they play us. But if you can pick your teams to where, okay, we're going to put Gregus and Schuler together, let Ozzy rest.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
And I hope Heath does that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see us going in this year and having Ozzy play, 15 games in a row, and then all of a sudden, 16th game, oh look, he's injured.
Right.
So, do you guys want any more beers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna do Wolf Cry. I'm out of rye.
Cool. Did you like that one?
Yeah, that was great.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, you just talked me into it. I'll try that.
Crank the neck.
This is a low country. Please.
Do you want an orange in it? It's better.
Sure.
We just talked about no fruit in the beers.
I usually don't either. So
What did she ask me?
an orange.
Oh, okay.
It's actually, and I'm gonna bring this up in the podcast right now because I don't think we should delete what just happened. But
No.
it's interesting. Most of the breweries you go
I
to
was just going to bring that
do
up.
not
Yep.
come to your table
No.
and offer you beers. This brewery they make it a statement to say you don't have to leave your table to get a beer.
That's
we
true.
have servers going on.
Yeah, where you the typical breweries that we've been in anyways is
Yeah.
the counter service more or
Yeah.
less, and that
We
was
have
kinda
a server, so which
That's
is
kinda
almost dangerous because then I have to leave my table to get beers.
And that means that you don't have to stand up to feel it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So overall, guys, I think the Ozzy Alonso deal should help a lot.
Yeah,
this
I
year.
think so.
I mean,
It's something to get excited for. I would say, why not? I mean, and I just love. We talked about. I love how he pairs with Jan Gregus. I mean, you can see what they're doing now.
but I think it's a signing that we were hoping for all year. I mean, the
It
Gregus
was-
signing was nice.
Well, we can go
But-
back a month, to say when we were at Torg, and there was a shopping list. There was 3 or 4 positions that needed to be addressed.
Yep.
Now, we'll get into it more, but they're starting to address these positions. So.
They are.
Yeah.
So let's get into the Super Draft,
Yeah.
which occurred last week.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it was last. Was it last
Was
week?
it? I don't even remember.
I don't remember. But
It was after the podcast.
It was over
Yeah.
a weekend, so the first round occurred on a Friday,
Was
so
it
that would be
11?
almost 2 weeks ago. And then
11, right?
Yeah, and then I think it was the later rounds occurred that following Monday. So
Okay.
it was over a weekend essentially.
so we picked. Was it 7th?
7th. Yeah.
7th. We ended up with this St. Clair kid he's a goalkeeper from Maryland.
Maryland,
right?
yeah.
Maryland, right? Which is interesting because I think we went into that draft. I think all three of us. I think we talked and said, "Well, here's what I need to get. We need a back somewhere, a right back, something like that. Maybe a midfielder, maybe. But goalkeeper really wasn't on the radar.
Right. Yeah.
But like you said, and we would text back and forth. This guy dropped.
Yeah.
He was going to go in the top probably 5.
That's what a couple mocks had. Yeah.
And I think when he dropped 7th, I believe the Loon said, well, shit, we can't let this guy go past us.
Oh yeah, and I think I said in our text, I'm like, I would generally pick a goalkeeper, but the dude, if St. Clair's gonna be there for you, you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's possibly the best goalkeeper in the NCAA,
Yes.
and it made sense. Yeah.
And so the deal is, we went back and forth a little bit talking about this, and we said, well, is he going to be Bobby's backup this year?
Right.
Are they going to send him to Madison to kind of work his way? I mean, to start most of the games there and get some experience?
Yeah, I still think that even when they drafted him, I think the United still had the intention of finding another goalkeeper. It's not. I mean, they.
I think they do.
They do.
It was in that whole. Defensive midfielder would be great. Right back. All the positions that we talked about over the last month that they need.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper was one of them.
Yeah.
And especially after they let Lamson go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they Capco. Too.
Yeah, I think it would be a bit optimistic for them to assume that as much potential as St. Clair has. I think it might be a bit optimistic to think that he could step up and be the backup goalkeeper.
Right. And now the negative thing is that FC Madison, or Forward Madison FC, sorry, went out and signed Sylvester, who played basically nonstop for North Carolina the last 3 years, I think.
How old is he, though?
He's like 26, 25.
Okay. So they've kind of got a younger...
Yeah, I mean, so he's not going to Madison. If he's loaned out, he will not be at Madison, which, that's the negative to not having your own USL team. You can't control those things.
No, you can't.
But I entirely believe he's going to be loaned out because he's not... I mean, even if he is as good as he is, which in college he is fantastic, but yeah, he's going to have to get into minutes in a professional setting, so he's going to go.
He's got to get some minutes. So what's funny about this whole getting St. Clair in the Super Draft was we didn't really see a goalkeeper, and then we thought, well, they're going to get a goalkeeper from somewhere else anyways.
Right.
So what did they try to do after that?
Well, it might have been kind of during it.
I think it was during it, yes.
Yeah. So, they found him fantastic.
Yes.
Really. I mean, I'm not going to deny his ability.
Oh, yeah, I've seen the highlight. I watched the highlight package, Johnny.
Augustin Rossi, he plays for Boca Juniors. He was in the Argentina U20 team for the World Cup. He's guaranteed going to be Argentina senior team material.
Yeah.
I don't know how Manny or McGee came across him.
It was shortly after I got back from Argentina on my scouting trip.
Dave.
So Dave's going to
remember, I came back, on my first trip to Argentina, and I came back just roaring about how good.
Yeah.
It's pretty coincidental.
I'll give you that.
All I could talk about after I got back was Boca Juniors and River Plate and how big those two teams are. And
I'm fairly certain there's a record of that.
There is a record of that. Actually.
Yes, there is. We can go back and listen. So I came. No, of course I'm kidding, but
You better be kidding because what happened next?
I'll tell you when I first heard his name and I was excited. I said, "Oh wow, cool, a Boca Juniors player." Teams that I watched while I was down there, and this is exciting. And I knew how good they were, and I his name didn't honestly jump out at me when I was there watching some of the games, but I was excited. Hey, an Argentine connection, and
so we saw this guy and we're all excited.
Yeah,
and then I think it was a couple days later,
probably about that. Yeah,
things started coming out saying that he had beat his girlfriend.
Yep.
There were pictures online of bruises that she had.
Yep.
So everybody started to freak out and go, "Oh, this guy's a troubled guy." And then all of a sudden it was, what was it? We had the Wonderwall who put out a thing saying, "We don't want him." A lot of fans on Twitter were saying, don't do it. And then we got to the point where he was supposed to come here, but then he had visa problems.
Right, yeah.
And so then we come to find out that his agent has been banned by FIFA twice.
Yeah.
And then his agent also said that Rossi was suing his girlfriend because they said that it was a defensive thing, and it's a whole shit show.
It's a mess, and there was threatening text messages.
There was threatening DMs,
allegedly, and we're going to use the word allegedly, but it's a mess, and
I mean it's like the NFL.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, the Major League Soccer has reached a whole new level in Minnesota when this happens. I mean, it's interesting because
the NFL. You bring up the NFL, and the NFL has certainly had its problems with some of its players. That's a very public. It's going on. Happens all the time. At least now, they're starting to make some of the right moves. Like you look at a Kareem Hunt from the Chiefs. News came out of domestic violence. He was he was dropped the next day.
Yep.
But he actually, I was reading an article about this. The news came out a year